Hi, welcome back to another episode of doing Minecraft. Because yeah, we're doing advancements, but the advancements, you kind of just also have to do Minecraft. Anyway, right now I'm mining obsidian because this is the nether episode. And honestly, thank God for efficiency 5 because this went so fast. Like, I'm not even kidding. Even though mining obsidian was pretty fast, I still cut it out because no one wants to watch me mine 13 pieces of obsidian. I always think I need 13 pieces to do the enchanting table nether portal combo. It's 14. Math is hard. I did get really lucky with my nether portal spawn because this is like right about the height where ghasts spawn in, where you can just hit the fireball back. Because sometimes they're really high above or really far below and the angle's never right. But this was really lucky, honestly. I ended up hopping back through the portal to get some gold so I could trade with this piglin who was right there. Again, a really lucky spawn. Of course, after we traded with each other, I killed him in cold blood. My next objective was kind of just to look around. I needed to find all 5 of the biomes in the nether anyway for an achievement. And hopefully by traveling in a distinct direction, which was the trail of different biomes that extended from my spawn, I would find something. And by something I mean another fortress. I didn't immediately find another fortress, but I did almost immediately find a bastion remnant, which was pretty cool. Honestly, bastion remnants are probably one of my favorite structures. I don't know why, they're kind of miserable to conquer and look around in the chests and stuff, but I just like them. I think they're neat, and I love Pigstep. I made an entire several minute animation about Pigstep. Of course I love Pigstep. Even though I was fully decked out, honestly, my plan was to just avoid the brutes because I hate dying in the nether. Because there's just lava everywhere, you might just lose stuff. Pain. Looking at this, stream of piglin brutes, I'm really glad that I decked out and got Prot 4 diamond armor before I came here, because otherwise this probably would have been certain death. And I think I ended up killing about, 15 piglin brutes, with none killing me by the end of this nether adventure. Diamond armor really does save lives, man. If I'm being honest, I really don't like crossbows that much. So I'm never really gonna use one. I'm from my own free will. It's just gonna be for advancements. And I didn't even mean to get this achievement. I just wanted the arrow in it because I forgot to actually bring an arrow with me. The brutes would have been stressful if I didn't have good tools and armor, but they just kind of inconvenienced me, honestly. That crossbow with piercing 3 is a surprise tool that will help us later. Even though picking up a netherite scrap doesn't give you any advancement, it's still pretty cool because that was my first netherite. Go me. After looting the bastion remnant for all it had to offer, I decided to head to the Soul Sand Valley because then I could tick off another box on my bingo card of every single nether biome. I found my way to the Basalt Delta not too long after finding that Soul Sand Valley, and that was the final biome that I actually needed to find. Then I noticed that right next to the Basalt Delta, where the only way to get there was to cross the giant pool of lava, was another fortress. Cool. After not too much difficulty, I finally managed to tower my way up the side of the fortress. There's this blaze there, just waiting to die, I guess. There I go, into fire. My next plan of action was to get 3 wither skulls, which honestly, easier said than done. It took me a really long time just to get the first one. When I finally got a skull, my first and only thought was, I should put that on my head. My skull now, bitch. I finally got my second skull, but I doubted that the 12 pumpkin pies that I had to sustain me would be enough to get another whole wither skull, which was another 20 plus withers to kill. So instead I decided to head home. I quickly went to trade with my villagers so I could get some bookshelves. Even though I could get every enchantment that I needed from my villagers, it was still really stressful walking around with like 45 enchantment levels, so I just wanted to put them down on something. It was time to fill out another cobblestone outline with something useful. Bookshelves. This part's honestly kind of embarrassing because I just forgot the second layer of my enchanting setup. And then I, in several seconds later, just forgot how to craft an enchanting table. Pro Minecrafter, everybody. Instead of trying to enchant some extra diamond armor with Prot 4 or something, because I could just get it from villagers, I just decided to enchant a bunch of crossbows. I traded with a Fletcher villager, so I had so many crossbows that I might as well just put enchantments on them. I'm never gonna use them. After I'd enchanted most of my crossbows, I realized that it was only going to level 28, so I added the final row in. Something I'd forgotten to do after I died in the cave in episode 1 was make myself another coordinate book. So I kinda had no idea where anything was, so you know that nether fortress I found? I'd never written down the coordinates to it, so I decided that I was just gonna try to get back in any way possible. I can't retrace my steps very well, I'm just not very good at it. Even though it definitely wasn't a nether fortress, I still decided to start with this other bastion remnant because there could be something useful in it, like, oh, I don't know, netherite scraps or something? Or pig step. Pig step is good too. Please ignore me for getting the recipe for a respawn anchor. I finally found my first cinnamon roll. I love calling them cinnamon rolls, it's so funny. Forbidden nether snack. Crunch. Crunch the big rock. I managed to find myself another yummy nether snack. I'd finally got all the things I needed to craft a respawn anchor because apparently I just remembered it wrong. My bad. Having my spawn here wasn't very useful because the piglin brutes probably wouldn't kill me, so I just have to remember to reset it later, otherwise if I just get blown up by a creeper or something in the overworld, I'll come back here to hell. Honestly, getting attacked by swarms of piglin brutes got old really fast. It was impressive the first time. Maybe not even impressive the first time. I did finally manage to get my hands on Pigstep, the only disc ever. I love Pigstep. Banger. I didn't end up managing to find the fortress in that run, but I had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to take home, like the 4 netherite scraps I'd managed to get, which I used to make a lodestone. Lodestones are probably one of the most useful things they added into Minecraft, like, to date. I love them so much. They're so useful with my terrible sense of direction. Thank God. At this point I was kind of avoiding going back to the nether because I found myself really deep underground in a cave, which notably isn't the nether, but I found Other Side and also Cat, 2 of the other best music discs ever. Almost all of the music discs are the best music discs ever in my mind though. While I was underground I also found a geode, and because I had Slip Touch I could pick up the little crystals. They're my favorite block ever. They don't go with a lot of stuff, but they're really cool. I could also complete my disc display with Other Side next to Pigstep. Lena Rain music discs, my beloved. I killed a pillager with a crossbow. That's the achievement. I was almost done with my enchanting tower, but then the worst thing ever happened, which was that I ran out of crystals, so I'd have to go back underground and try to find a geode, because even though I wrote down the coordinates to the last geode, it was kind of far. I got really lucky though because there was a geode in the Death Ravine, and because it was right next to my house I'd been spawning it in this whole time, so there was a lot of really big crystals. And with that my roof was finished, and therefore I had no other reason to procrastinate going to the nether again. God damn it. If I couldn't procrastinate going to the nether, what I could do was procrastinate farming wither skulls. And by I don't even mean farming wither skulls, I mean getting one singular skull. I traveled 850 blocks in the nether to avoid getting a wither skull. I was finally far enough away from my nether portal back at my house to make a new one, so I'd, go somewhere else and it'd be really far and it'd be really cool. And the really cool place that I ended up in was a plains biome. The same biome that I live in, like several thousand blocks in the overworld away from here. I decided to focus my attention back into the nether and go netherite mining, because I was far enough away from my house that if I just completely destroyed the underneath, if I went home and I needed more netherite, there would be more netherite there. I don't know if that logic makes full, complete, total sense, but it's the logic that I used. Like a fool, I thought with my efficiency 5 pickaxe, if I mined enough underneath at the level where netherite spawns, I'd get netherite. I didn't. I was down there for a really long time and I left with, like, nothing. I think I had 1. And then I doubled that by going to a bastion nearby and getting 2 pieces of ancient debris. To be honest, I wasn't even mad about not finding a lot of netherite. What I was mad about was finding this lodestone. I spent the whole netherite ingot that I got on a lodestone, and it turns out I found it in a chest. So now I had 2 lodestones. I don't need 2 lodestones. I only have 1 house. I was determined to get netherite armor today though, so what I ended up doing was going through the portal and farming wool for beds and gunpowder at night from creepers. It was kind of tedious, but honestly I got a lot in not too much time. I ended up with a lot of beds, which I probably should have waited to craft until I was in my netherite digging pit, but alas. In my first explosion I found 2 pieces of ancient debris, meaning I had 1 piece of armor that I could make into netherite. I was 1/4 of the way there. I ended up getting 8 from all those beds and TNT, which meant I had 10 pieces of netherite, which was half of my armor. I was gonna have to do all of that again. But hey, at least I had, half a set of netherite armor. And I found a naturally spawning pink sheep, so I think I'm really lucky. At least today. And after a while I was back underground in the nether, exploding things. I ended up getting 1 piece of ancient debris from all that TNT, so I decided to just craft up some beds and keep going. After that mining trip I had 12 more pieces of ancient debris, which was enough to finish off my netherite armor, and I'd have 1 piece spare. And now I'd finally have full netherite armor instead of half netherite armor, because half netherite's honestly kind of embarrassing. It's like you didn't just commit to exploding a whole lot of beds and blowing up a bunch of TNT to get the whole thing. You just got half. I just kind of put that lodestone there on my way home. I don't know if I'll ever actually connect a compass to it or anything, but it's just there now if I want it. And back home, like any good self-respecting Minecrafter does, I made a netherite hoe. I still didn't want to go back to the nether to get that final wither skull, so instead I went fishing. There are fishing achievements that I need to get. Not just nether achievements, come on. This is serious business. Not only could I go fishing, but I could also make a cool sign for my house. Priorities, people. Come on. Besides just catching a fish in a bucket, I also wanted to do some real fishing, Sit on the dock with your fishing rod and just chill for an entire day. An entire day of your life, you just sit and fish. But I need a good fishing rod to do that. No unenchanted nonsense here. I would get a good fishing rod, or so help me God. And in order to complete my dreams of fishing, I would need a dock or a harbor or somewhere to sit and just vibe. That's what fishing's all about, right? I've never actually gone fishing. But I would today, in Minecraft. This is riveting stuff, I tell ya. Finally, I've achieved my dreams of getting a single fish. What I did next was actually really productive. I got myself a new set of armor and everything in case I lose my old one that I have right now, because that could happen. And And I set up an ender chest because I keep running out of inventory space. So now I have a backpack. Isn't that swell? To be honest, I feel like the hardest thing about doing the wither fight is just getting the skulls. And not because getting the skulls is difficult. It's just that the drop rate is so low, and I feel like it just shouldn't be that low because that's not making it difficult. It's just making it really annoying to do if you have to kill 600 wither skulls to get haste. It just makes me not want to do it. Like normally in my Minecraft worlds, I just don't kill the wither because it's just not worth it. But hey, I eventually found a guy who dropped a skull, so I could go home now. And here are all the advancements that I got this episode. I actually got a lot because it turns out a lot of the nether achievements are just kind of luck based. Like if you spawn next to a bastion, if all of the biomes you need are nearby, like it's not anything too ridiculously complicated. The parts that I have left in the nether tab, however, are kind of ridiculous and complicated, except the potion brewing one. I love the potion brewing one.